Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and begin the presentation. Um, my name's Shannon Thiessen. I'm the Computer Science Program Supervisor at OSPI, and we're going to talk about the two new computer science specialty endorsements. During the last legislative session, they passed a law that stated they wanted PESB to create two specialty endorsements, one for elementary computer science and one for secondary computer science. Specialty endorsements are a bit different, and it is a little bit complicated. So I want to kind of go through that with you. I've worked with PESB on these endorsements, and I worked with Jesu, Leonie, and Sophia. I have their information for you at the end, so you can contact them if you have questions. But we're going to go through what those are. So, wrong screen, sorry. So really just provide an overview of them, and then a good overview of what a specialty endorsement is as well. So when the law was passed, there were two things that they asked for. The two specialty endorsements, but then they provided some grants to providers of that professional development to see how we can integrate that, provide those for teachers. Those grants will go out in January. I'm not sure who has them yet. They just went through the process. And those grants will help us start preparing programs to offer these specialty endorsements. So, computer science, we need to make sure that we let everyone know to the benefits of computer science. We really want kids to be able to thrive in today's economy, tomorrow's economy. Computer science is really important for that. There's lots of growth areas in the STEM area to we need students with interest, and we need people to fill those career paths, allowing them some interest in expanding their learning. We also have another law that was passed in 2019, which also says that every high school in the state must offer an elective computer science course. And I should have changed that. It really says the opportunity. So every high school in the state must offer an opportunity for all students. So all students have to have that opportunity available to them. So they can take a computer science elective. We also have a huge issue with getting teachers. We don't have a lot of teachers, and then we have teachers, who can do this, but lack some self-confidence. So trying to find ways to get more teachers is also part of this. So just a little background on this to start, and the first part of this is to really understand what kind of a certificate we're talking about and what is a specialty endorsement. So there are different types of certificates. So we have teacher, administrator, and para. And certificates can have on them endorsements. They will have your endorsement for whatever your content area is. And now these specialty endorsements will also appear on the certificate. So some of the endorsement, specialty endorsement curriculum can be used in professional growth plans. those people who offer these programs can give you clock hours, or if they can, credits, but none of that is on the certificate. So the only thing that's going to be on your certificate is going to be those endorsements. So the purpose of this specialty endorsement is to let them know that this is a particular area that you have an expertise in, or you have a preparation in to be able to teach to your students. We already do have some endorsements in the state, and those happen to be in the elementary mathematics specialist, environment and sustainability education, and gifted education. Now we have 2 more, so Washington has 5 of them. It'll be computer science for elementary education and computer science for secondary education. And one of the things I'm going to do really quick is I want to give you guys a link to this presentation. Sorry, I didn't do it earlier, because there are all sorts of links in this document to give you more information. So you have access to that. Specialty endorsements, again, they're ways to address gaps in bringing a more, I'm sorry, I'm getting text, to bring more opportunities for teachers to learn the computer science that they need to be able to offer those experiences to the students. With a requirement that where you need to offer in a high school an opportunity to take a computer science course, we need to be able to do that by more teachers. We do not have enough teachers to be able to do this. And the specialty endorsements, it's going to be just common essential learnings that people can expect to know when you have this endorsement. What's nice about this is it's not just you going off and taking additional training, is it does appear on your certificate. Lots of times we've taken huge long training courses in specific areas, but nobody seems to know that you have that expert experience and you can teach to that. So this is a way to have it right there on your certificate. It's an opportunity too for innovation and community input, because you'll be able to look at those learnings and what are those courses you can offer, how are you going to put that together. So the difference with a specialty endorsement is there's 2 types of programs. So it's a change from the last current specialty endorsements. It just went through the PESB board. The new policy allows for 2 things. Specialty endorsements can be offered by organizations other than teacher prep programs. So if there are professional development providers out there, then there is that opportunity to do that. You do not have to go to a college or a university, be part of their program to get this endorsement. So what that looks like is part of our grants. And so PESB is going to follow those grants with them and see exactly what it is that we need to do to be able to offer these. And I know that one of the ESDs has applied for a grant. We haven't heard back, but even being able to maybe do these specialty endorsements through the ESD would be great. It's more opportunity for students. Now, the second part of this, which is really new, it's really kind of exciting is that the specialty endorsements can be on a principal and they can be on a paraeducator's certificate as well. So it's not just computer science on here. Okay, so I do have a couple questions and want to kind of pause for a moment and look at these questions. So if we have a CTE certification right now, and we're interested in also having this specialty endorsement on a general ed certificate, what would be the fastest route to doing that? So this is an area that they're working on right now. Is definitely, we could do that in ed, in the teacher, the para, the administrator, but we're taking a look at some of those things with CTE, but right now this endorsement does not fulfill anything on the CTE, so you wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to have a general ed certificate to be able to put this endorsement on it. Again, fastest route, I'm really hoping that we can do this with some professional development providers, so we're not, we're not stuck with the semester system or a quarter system or that, and we could do a lot more of that during the summer trainings as well. The other question, is there any point in getting one of the new specialty endorsements if you already have a gen and an EdCS endorsement? No, Chad. You know everything we need to know. Yeah. No, the specialty endorsements are going to be a way for us to increase that, those teachers without having to go through a 15 credit computer science program or knowing the information to teach like an AP computer science course. So this specialty endorsement, is the one for elementary, really works on integration into content areas, and then the secondary one would very easily prepare a teacher for teaching any of the introductory courses, exploring computer science, those types of courses. This also is a way to assure, CTE directors can look at this as a way to ensure that those teachers that are teaching these classes have the knowledge that they need to have. So, they send you to training all the time. They say, here's a new course, let's get you trained for it. This would be a way to be able to know that teacher knows what they're supposed to teach. So would we have to do a whole additional gen ed prep program first if we are CTE? Yes, that's the way that those work. But now too, starting this last year, if you're in a CTE certification program, you now have to take the WESB exam. So you do have to take the same certification exam that Chad took, that we took to be certified in secondary, well, actually K-12 computer science is that area. Oh yes, Chad, absolutely. That's one of the things that we're really hoping here. Not only does this recruit those math and science teachers, but what about that teacher that's teaching English and has this little passion for technology that they've been playing with and are excited about? Can we give them that training, especially within that pedagogy, to be able to teach this? And I think that's one of the only ways that we're going to be able to get enough teachers, because we really don't have those. So one of the things about the certifications, specialty endorsements, and that is OSPI is not part of that. So I can't talk to them about who to offer to or how to get it on an endorsement. PESB is their own specific agency that does take care of these, but we could look at ways for you to contact them. I do have a slide at the end so that you can get more information on that. So Jennifer, I'm not really sure about your question. A paraeducator, again, is under a bunch of different rules because they can't be that teacher in the classroom, but they can have that specialty knowledge. Your CTE teacher, I mean, this training, it should help with that V code, I would think, but those are things that they're looking at right now. 100%, almost 100%, 99% of our computer science courses are taught by CTE teachers. So we know districts need them and they're funding, but trying to find ways to make sure that the CTE teachers are included in that are things that we are looking at as well. So it's definitely an interesting egg and chicken problem as well. Okay, so on the PowerPoint are the links to these endorsement competencies. So the board did consider the specialty endorsements in September, and they approved them. So we do have both those endorsements now. Their competencies are listed in those links, as well as if you want to look at the K-12 computer science endorsements, they're there too. I think one of the biggest things to know about the two specialty endorsements is you would not really be able to do those advanced courses. So AP Computer Science, you're not going to get the training that you need to be able to teach those through a specialty endorsement. You really do need to take a look at the full endorsement to know really what you would need to do for that. So those links are in there for you. So the people to talk to are also on here. Sophia and Leonie are helped work with that as well. There's a lot of questions around those endorsements and how they're going to work that I really hope we can get to through some of the grants and understanding the things that we need to do to address those. So you are directly linked to the PESB meeting tab. This is where they keep their meeting information. This is for the approval of the specialty endorsements. And so when we take a look at these endorsements, and I'm going to open one up. And make it bigger. So one of the things that is really important through this is to is knowledge and skills. And so one of the first things you're going to see in both endorsements are what are those knowledge and skills that you need to have. The nice thing about the elementary is that you do not need to have any information beyond the standards and what those computer science standards are for K-5. What the computer science standards K-5 are primarily is around computational thinking. So they also map really closely with the ed tech standards as well, but being able to apply the practices and the standards is the very first part of that endorsement. The other part of this too is Kapoor standards. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about the Kapoor standards. They are new DEI equity standards. Sorry. Specifically for computer science and equity. They came out of the Kapoor Center in California. And so one of the things that they have done through this endorsement is that they have integrated those standards around equity, diversity, and inclusion. And also we have that standard 2, equity, inclusion, again, goes back towards some of the equity and diversity covered under the K-12 computer science endorsement, as well as covering that with the K-4 standards as well. Standard 3 in these endorsements, take a look at the professional growth and identity. One of the things that that teachers find hard is to really identify as being able and being a computer science teacher. So they did a research a couple years back, and they asked teachers who were teaching computer science what they taught. Most of them did not say that they were computer science teachers. And so really understanding that they are a computer science teacher, and then help them find those ways to grow and find professional development around those skills. I found it very interesting that very few of them. And it also comes back to, I think what Bethany was talking about a little bit is the imposter syndrome, where you're not really thinking that you're qualified to do that, but you are. And also making sure that we look at that continuous learning. All of these competencies that I'm going over is what a professional development provider would have to incorporate into whatever program that they do to be able to teach these. I think the specialty endorsement is definitely a lot less time than a degree, and those 15 credit hours in computer science. I could see this being done in a maybe 90-hour program that would cover some of these. They might be able to find out that they could do it in 45. So that's part of the grant. That's part of putting this out there is how can we also gauge what it takes to be able to put people through this professional development. Instructional design, again, sometimes it's really hard to know how to teach computer science one of the things that we do find is that it's not just giving information. You know, there's not a lot of lecturing here. You really have to take a look at the content and then understand what those misunderstandings are, and what are the things that we need to do within our instruction to make sure that we hit those standards and those competencies. And then classroom practice. I think this is another key area, and like Elizabeth was talking about, is being able to have students be able to have that failure, be able to learn from their failures, and understand, you know, that teachers do the same thing, and what are their methods to solving those problems. I did have a student tell me that I was the teacher that made the most mistakes in the whole school, and I would do that on purpose. We would make mistakes that kids would make in the assignments and our presentations of the work, just hoping to teach students how to look at those and solve those problems through modeling, showing them that everybody makes mistakes and it's okay. And so that was probably one of the highest compliments that I had, was that I make more mistakes than any other teacher in the school. But the idea beyond that is to give them that permission to fail and try again. And it's not we're going to give you a key and there's one answer. You know, there's more than one answer to how to do this, and what does that look like. So our hope is that they will take these competencies, indicators, and see if there's a way to incorporate that in a training program. Again, probably the grants should probably be out within the next couple weeks, because they just finished the evaluations on them. And then by January, we're really hoping that they will start offering these programs. They do have to offer it to 15 students at a minimum, so we can get some data back on those students and how they are progressing through this. You know, what are things that we need to do, and then also to just really understanding what is the time commitment behind that as well. Okay. So on the secondary computer science one, the only thing that really is any different is underneath the skills and knowledge. So CS knowledge and skills in this standard are much more advanced. They follow with the standards from the computer science state standards. And so there probably will need to be a little longer training for the specialty endorsement. But once again, some of that can be competency based. So if teachers know some of this already, we should be able to honor that and allow them to maybe go a little faster on this endorsement. But the one thing that is more intense and has more information in it really is around that skills and knowledge. So I don't know if there are there any questions on these endorsements? So I really hope that these endorsements could be offered through the professional development providers. I think that's a real opportunity. It's difficult to go back and take more classes just to get another certification. And I tell you that because I am a general ed teacher. My certifications were math and computer science because a long time ago we had a computer science endorsement as well. But in order to teach CTE, what I had to do was I had to go back and take those classes. So I went to Bates and I took a year and a half of classes on vocational ed is what they were calling it, just to get that CTE endorsement, because my school said there was no way I was going to teach it under a professional basic ed endorsement because they can't get enhanced funding. So that is one of our biggest problems is trying to find ways where we can accept other teachers, but CTE directors know there's little loopholes through that, and they can find those as well. I think this will be an opportunity for those teachers who've never taught computer science to find support for teaching. I remember getting phone calls from teachers in tears saying, my district says I'm teaching computer science next year. I don't know what to do. And they say, I don't have a choice. I teach marketing. What do I do? And so I'm really hoping that these, not being as long as a college program, and being hopefully more local, can help those teachers with this content. I think that's the biggest part too, is there's this fear of computer science, but then also understanding that coding is only like 20%. There needs to be talks about data, cybersecurity, AI. There's all sorts of different areas that can be talked about in that. All right, Eric, we're going to sign you up. Any other questions with that? All right, Dawn, yay. So I hope I answered Chad's question. So with these, yes, science and math can teach CS without being out of their endorsement area. So I hope I answered that. I might have done it in a real roundabout way, so I apologize. Yeah, that Gen Ed and CTE, those certifications and endorsements and how that all works together is I think, a mystery to most of us as we work through it. Okay. Right. So I'm like way too fast here. Any other questions on what this looks like? I was really hoping for questions. Again, they're just going to be giving out the grants. They'll be hoping that those training sessions will start in January for those people that are doing the grant. They do have to have 15 students. There are 10 grants available. So if they did, fulfill their requirements, we could have an additional 150 certified teachers for computer science. So, and right now in the state, we only have about 373 high schools offering computer science. And in the state, I have 476 certified computer science teachers. So that's been that's been my worry as we're going into the next year and being able to offer students that opportunity to take a course even in those rural and small districts. So the grant, we should know who got the grants this next week. I know they finished them up, grading them and that. So we should know who got those grants. They should put that on their PESB website. So if you search for PESB underneath computer science grants, hopefully they'll have that announcement there. And if you do have one in your area and you were interested in participating in it, I'm sure they would be happy to hear from you as well. And I put the bug in a few people's ears. Avid, you can offer these elementary specialty endorsements with what you do. I mean, there are other ways to be able to do this, but really trying to get professional development providers to help is going to be the key, I think, as we're moving forward. Yep. So it will be interesting to see, because last year we only had 723 computer science courses across the state and 30,000 students. So we have a ways to go. Other certification endorsement questions. Yes, if you have a Gen N and a CTE cert, yeah, you can. This should be able to help you add a V code, I believe, but yes, and your CTE director knows how to do that and get you in there. But the CTE endorsements now are also requiring an exam through that. But on the specialty endorsements, it's competency based. There are no exams. And so that's another part of this that I like. I also think it's very beneficial if we could get administrators to take some of these courses, administrators, paras that are helping. I mean, I had some wonderful paras in my classroom, but they didn't volunteer to come in my classroom with their students because it was kind of threatening for them. I think this is a great way to get them involved and administrators to know what you do, what is happening in that classroom, how that affects all of their other content areas as well. So CTE questions, I'm going to refer you on those endorsements to go ahead and go back and talk to your CTE director or talk to the certification office. I do not want to give bad advice, and just knowing that some of these certifications have changed last year, the addition of specialty endorsements, the changes in that, talk to the experts and the people that are in the know on that. Yeah, and welcome to CTE, Stacy. So let's see, can a teacher with a Gen N and TC, I think I went through that one. Welcome to the dark side. No, as a CTE teacher for a very long time. I've wrote more frameworks in my lifetime than I ever wanted to. So I apologize for this being really fast. Do you have more questions? Need more information? You can also email me. I think my email address is all over the place, but I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat. And really questions around the specialty endorsement and where they're at in the process and how they're moving ahead really should be through PESB, because this is their area. Well, thank you guys for coming. I want to thank you for coming to the summit. You know, this is we're starting small, dipping our toes in the water here, and looking forward to making this bigger and better next year, as we're learning how to do this and what the needs of our schools and our districts are, and how do we move this computer science forward. And hopefully you guys will see a lot of computer science trainings this summer. I'm trying to get a lot of trainings for teachers to teach computer science or teach specific courses. And so looking at ways we can fulfill that computer science opportunity in the high school, especially rural schools and small schools. We're really taking a big, a look at that, and how can we support you in the best way possible. So thank you.